Hello and welcome to Two Girls in a Pod. I am Sharon.
I'm Christy.
Oh my goodness, we're so happy to be back. We were off for a little hiatus, went on a little vacation.
Yeah. Had a fun time. Went and saw some family and
Attended a quinceanera for your niece Ella, and she looked absolutely beautiful.
stunning.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She's just a beautiful, beautiful young lady.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really fun, our first one. So it was a fun time, really, really fun time.
Yes.
Then went up and spent a week in Chicago, which was my first time being there. And I really, really enjoyed it.
It was really cool. I hadn't been since I was a kid and I had a really fun time and we got to try different foods and
Yeah,
hear different
you see,
music.
it was really great. And went saw the Bean.
Of course.
So that was really cool.
Cloud Gate.
Yes.
Yeah, but the Bean.
Found a great little pizza place.
Yeah.
Flo and
Flo and Santos. That was really
really
good.
good. And then we tried corned beef and pastrami hash. Fantastic at
11 Cafe.
11 Cafe. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. So good food. We really enjoyed that piece of it, if you can't tell.
Yes.
But I mean, it was just a really nice little time to just do a reset and then go visit somewhere else that we hadn't been in a hot minute. Well, I'd never been,
Mhm.
but I feel like I hadn't been on vacation in a hot minute.
That was overdue.
Yeah, so fun times, and we appreciate that people continue to follow us and do all of that stuff and understand that we do take a little bit of time off here and there because we have to also take care of ourselves. We really have looked at our podcast and what do we want to do, and we really are shifting it to being mentally prepared for success, but it's a journey. And so we like the Two Girls in a Pod life's journey because life is a journey, and it is through our journey that we transcend and evolve and hopefully do those kind of things that are really important. So very excited about that, but really switching it to being mentally prepared for success. And that success is anything you deem,
Mhm.
whether it's relationships, self, business, whatever it is.
Exactly. It could be sports, it could be anything, but in order to be prepared for that success, you've got to work on that mental mindset. If you're not there, it's going to be really hard for you to achieve your goals. And once you achieve your goals, what do I do with it? How do I manage it? What do I do with this now that I've gotten here?
Exactly. And that's what we want this podcast to be about. We want people to resonate with people. And so, one of the things is, as I've told you before, I'm on the app Noom, Noom Vibe. If you don't have it, download it. It's a free app, and there are professionals from all walks of life that are, and the whole thing about Noom Vibe is creating a community, a space for growth and development.
Mhm.
Love this application. I didn't realize I would love it as much. And I love getting on there, and I do talks on there. I do a talk on Mondays. I'm sorry, just moved it to Sunday at 10 o'clock called The Chat. And that kind of is where this topic came up because I did one a week ago called The Brain and Time. And it's fascinating to me because in our brain, the brain does not know time. There is no such thing as time.
Mhm.
It doesn't know the past, the present, or the future.
And that's hard for people, I think, to wrap their mind around that concept because we have this perception of time. We have a past, there's the present, we're thinking about the future. So we have a very set in stone kind of way of thinking about that. But when in reality, there are many clues and evidence that show that it's not like that.
I think that time is a construct, and I understand why the construct was made. It kind of keeps order and all of that other fun stuff, I guess.
It tells you when to beware.
Yes. So that's why everybody's big on time, but it's still a construct. And when we're talking about our brain, that's why when I'm sitting here and if I start to think about something in the past, it's like that experience, that thing becomes present in my mind. It's almost like it's happening now.
Yes.
We look at that. That's how, when they're smiling and people are thinking, why are you smiling? Nothing not happening. But you might be having a memory. And when you have that memory, if it was a happy memory, in this moment, you become happy.
Yeah,
Same thing if something bad happens, we can recreate that as well. And that's what trauma is.
exactly. You can relive it over and over as if it is happening in this now.
And our brain does not know the difference.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the key thing. It's when we can understand that our brain doesn't know the difference. That's kind of what like we talked about before. If you're watching a scary movie in your house and all of a sudden you're scared and all this, the brain doesn't know that's not really happening. It's
Mhm.
seeing it, it's hearing it. So therefore it's happening.
It's creating that fear.
Talking about manifestation, man.
Exactly.
But I think that's what it is, and I think when we learn that and you're right, it's hard to wrap your head around because we live in a time that's very linear,
Mhm.
and because the brain isn't that, if you focus on this present moment, then that's what exists is this present moment, and then we are able to experience that in a different way. The problem we have is that too much of the time we're experiencing the past or we're so far in the future. And once again, our brain doesn't know the difference. That's why when you're talking about gratitude and manifestation, it has not happened in this present moment. But if I put that into my brain, because once again, in my brain, it's not linear, it doesn't know the difference.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, I think the thing is when we grasp that concept a little bit better, it has the ability to really help us evolve. And then we don't stay in sorrow or that negativity.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when we are so busy locked into that memory, sometimes we're just recreating that pain over and over again. It's not going to take away the event that happened, but it sure can create pain and misery in this moment.
And the other thing is when we do that, because the brain does not know in a way that it's not happening because you're experiencing everything physiologically, it just stores it once again in the subconscious. So now what you have in the subconscious is layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of the same thing. And don't misunderstand me. This can be also with something that is very positive. So we have those people who they've created that they'll go back to that. You go talk to them and they'll talk about the same happy memory and you see them get happy. They're reinforcing that in that subconscious level.
Mhm.
So it makes it more, it's solidifying it more. That's why with trauma, it's very hard because, oftentimes when there's trauma, you have people who are asking you to retell your story over and over and over again. And each time that person is retelling that story, it brings it right back to the present.
Which brings that energy and that emotion with it. It's sort of like, too, I feel like when I'm calling a company and I have to explain it to the person at the bottom of the totem pole. And then I get transferred to the next department and I have to re explain the whole thing over again. And I'm getting frustrated because I was frustrated to start with, whatever the problem was that I'm calling about. And then you're so in that emotion because you're reliving this over and over. It's so frustrating.
Trust me, people, when this happens, I'll go from my office and I already know I'm there like, oh, I think I'll just return to my office because I can feel your frustration. And once again, it's because you're reliving the same situation. We'll use insurance, love insurance, but at the same time, it's a double edged sword. It's like you call, you talk, you tell them, and then it's like, you're right. The more you do it. And then even when you're done, and even if you have resolution,
You're
if she
exhausted.
comes and tells me every step she had to take to get there, now she's back in that place. And I'm just there like, is it resolved? But I can't get to that place because once again,
When you've worked yourself up to that frenzy, it's like you stay in that emotional state.
and then she'll say, well, yeah, it's resolved. Okay, well, let's just start with its resolve first. Next time.
But you don't know how much of my day was spent on this.
And it can be hours.
Yeah.
And so once again, it's building that up. And then when she comes to tell me, even like I said, even though there's that resolution, it's hard for her to know the resolution at that point because or if I say, well, what did you have to do? Well,
Mhm,
learn
because
not to say that.
yeah, I want to explain to you the dysfunctionality that I am dealing with here.
And then but what it does too is then the next time we had this not that long ago. I go, "Ugh, we got to call that insurance." She's there like, I mean, you can see the physical response.
Mm. Yeah.
Because once again, that all that past stuff just came forward and now she's reliving, I imagine. Oh God, here I go. Start at the bottom. Here I go. Blah, blah, blah.
Not to mention the 2 hours I have to wait on the automated system to even be able to talk to a person. There's
A-
that.
Any of you out there who deals with this, you're there like, oh God, yes. Just triggered me. Oh God.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that we do to change it, and I think we work on is, oh my God, this is going to be a great conversation. We're going to have resolution.
Yeah, because if you go into a situation expecting the worst, you say hoping for the best, you really don't. Your body and mind is prepared for
The
the
worst.
same shit, different day.
Hmm. And I think once again, because the brain does not know time, it doesn't know these experiences have already happened, haven't happened, doesn't know because we are creating, our thoughts create. So everything out in this world was a thought. It started with somebody's thought.
Yeah.
It was internal to them. Now we experience it because somebody thought it and then brought it into the world, so to speak. Well, the brain does not know whether it's in the world or out of the world. Once again, it doesn't deal in time or those kind of constructs.
Mhm.
So because of that, I feel like we get stuck.
Yeah.
We don't realize sometimes that reliving that same thing isn't resolving it. It's actually deepening that relationship we have with it.
It is creating a pattern that's so embedded within you that even when you're dealing with other things, you're coming from that perspective and you're dealing with them in the same way. And sometimes you end up being just as frustrated.
And it's interesting because when I have clients who come in, say they have traumas, and the first thing they tell me is, "Oh my God, I really did not want to have to start over and tell my story again." This is a person who maybe has had 2 or 3 therapists prior to me, and now they're already anticipating, "Oh, Jesus, here I go. I have to tell this story. This was already horrible enough." And I always tell clients, "You only tell me what you want to tell me." And they'll be there like, "But wait, don't you need?" No, all I want to know is what do you want? What is your goal? I try to stay very goal oriented and very solution focused in that way. And of course, cognitive behavioral therapy, because I just want to know where do you want to be, not where you were at, because you already know where you were at. I don't necessarily have to know where you were at. I just need to know where you want to go.
Mhm.
And that sometimes freaks them out because they'll be either like, wait, I don't have to tell my this horrible story again. Nope. Just tell me what it is you think I need that's relevant. If it's
Mhm.
relevant, tell me. If not, just let's work on the goal. Well, then how's that gonna get rid of what I'm dealing with? I said, every time you tell this story, you're embedding it more and more in you. I don't need that. So what I wanna do is work on you really making your goals a part of your subconscious and your conscious. Because when we do that, then let's focus on that. Then it's gonna negate some of this other stuff that's going on anyway.
Mhm.
Because the goal usually is to be emotionally stable, to sleep through the night, those kind of things. I can work on that. However, I can't change anything in your past.
Mhm.
I just do not have that capability. I can only change one's perception of it.
And sometimes as you go along, I would imagine, if a person decides there's something they want to share, it's through the relevancy of what you're talking about. And then you realize, oh, well, maybe this is happening because of this.
Exactly. And I think the thing is, it just really listening to the story,
Yeah.
listening to their journey. And sometimes what they think might be the issue really isn't the issue.
Hmm.
So once again, because it's time's not linear and we're not having all of that stuff, we get stuck.
Hmm.
And I think when we start to learn that our brain, all of this is created in our brain, and it's for everybody. It's not like we're sitting there and say, oh, this group of people. No, everything, our depression, our anxiety, that's all created in the brain because nobody sees it out here. It is not a physical thing.
Hmm.
It's not like the table we're sitting at or anything like that. Once again, the brain does not or conceptualize in that way.
Yeah. We talk a lot about gratitude, and one of the reasons being is because it really does help shift the way that we think.
Yes.
It has a huge power to do that. If we can shift into gratitude, it changes our perspective about things.
And gratitude is also done in the present moment. And because it's done in the present moment, the brain does not know the difference.
Mhm.
It will act as it is happening now.
Yeah.
And think about this, if there's something that you're really excited about, some up and coming event, and you're excited about it. Kids are notorious for this. I love this about little kids. Oh, going Disney World? Mm-mm. As soon as you tell them they are in Disney World,
Mhm.
they're plotting and planning everything they're gonna do. Oh my God, we're gonna see Mickey. We're gonna have breakfast. Oh no, that's June. Anyway, do you see what I mean? So to them, it becomes present and they'll have the excitement of it
Mhm.
because the brain doesn't know. And so they're creating that. And you know, when you talk about gratitude, that's gratitude for you. It works with those neurons. It's not magical thinking, though probably all of our thoughts are magical. Who knows? I don't know. But it's not magical thinking because what it does is once again, it puts you in the present moment.
Yeah.
And so it gives the brain something to work on.
Mhm. And it's so much easier to work with something positive than something negative that's making you feel literally ill or those kind of things. When you can shift to gratitude, it lifts your internal spirit even. You have a different feel. That is what it's about, is shifting that.
Because once again, the brain doesn't know time. So it starts to experience it.
Yes.
It will experience it at that moment.
As though it's happening in the now. That's why you can have a memory and think about how hard you laughed and probably end up laughing again in this moment because it has that feeling and you're not able to travel back in time and experience, but you have it.
There are some stories in our travels, trust me, people, that you can't even make up that crap. And but it is so funny, even if we talk with our friend who experienced it or we tell the stories, we are laughing like it happened because it is so crazy.
Mhm.
But that's what I mean. The brain doesn't know. So it's laughing the same way because it feels like it's experiencing it the same way.
Yeah.
I thought this was fascinating. I had a client, we're talking about some issues, and she said she started to feel her stomach. She has IBS. She goes, I started to feel my stomach and I wanted to, it was the first mud run she had done, and she was just so excited about it. But she could feel that coming on. The stomach was starting to not feel good. And she said, I thought, you know what? I'm going to practice this. I'm going to see if this really works. I'm going to see if there's some tie into this. And she goes, I said, nope, this is faulty thinking. She goes, I am just so grateful for how much fun I'm going to have and how healthy I am. And she said, it was the most bizarre thing. She goes, I took about 7 steps. And she goes, that feeling in my stomach went away. She goes, I had the most amazing time.
Mhm.
Once again, the brain doesn't know.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And she said, I'm having that right in her in the gratitude. I'm grateful for this really fun, exciting time. And I'm, you know, it's faulty thinking. I'm healthy. The brain didn't know that she wasn't supposed to be unhealthy in the next 5 minutes. So it's kind of weird because we're talking about time in a way that's not a construct,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. And because it's not a construct in the brain, it's hard. I think it's a little more difficult to wrap your head around it.
Mhm.
It took me a hot minute.
Definitely. Well, I think because we're living every day, it's a practice that you do every single day to help you understand as you're living it. It's a practice. And our mind is so powerful. It's interesting because we don't give it the credit that it deserves when are trying to empower ourselves and feel like we are capable and worthy and all of those things. But we sure do identify the power of it to belittle us and put us down and put us in a box and keep us in this feeling place of anxiety or depression or whatever it is.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. We don't know the power of our brain. It is this magnificent, amazing gift that we were given.
But one of the things that we have to understand, I think, and will help us to understand the power of the brain is how the body works in conjunction with it.
Yes. It's one unit.
Yes.
Sometimes we feel that it's different. Now, are there people out there who have the ability to transcend, do all this? Yeah, they do. That is a whole different skill level or whatever. But the thing is that our body and our brain, we're one unit. And the more we learn about each piece of it, the more it cooperates with each other. And the more we understand that because the brain is not linear in its thinking. That's like when I tell people, when you're talking to somebody and you're starting to get angry or you feel that in your stomach, there is a nanosecond. And out here, a nanosecond, we don't comprehend. Internally, that's long enough for us to make a different decision, believe it or not. Our brain is that fast. So I can react this way or this way. It's like the brain in there, this way or it's doing it. But out here, it's really fast. Internally, it's not the same speed even because once again, it doesn't deal in time.
Mhm.
So I always tell people, you have that nanosecond of time where you can make a different decision
Yeah.
because the brain, once again, does not deal in time the way that we do. So a nanosecond is not the same in there because you think about how many billions of messages it's giving just right as we're sitting here,
Mhm.
as you're listening, all of these things, it's happening.
When we say about the subconscious, we don't realize how much the brain is doing to even just do normal function of our body as we're sitting here talking, having this conversation. Our brain is doing all kinds of things on the backside to
It
keep us functioning.
really, and not only is it doing all of those things, but it's everything that we've done. It is also piecing that all together for us as well. So if we're learning a new test, doing all that, it's even as we're doing something else, it's still working on helping us with that piece of it.
Mhm.
Brain is so amazing.
Yeah.
And we still don't know as much as we thought we knew because now we're understanding more about neuroplasticity and the brain's ability to create new neural pathways. They used to think it was, it stopped. We now know it didn't stop.
Right.
So even with that, we have the ability to create new moments, which then creates new memories,
Mhm.
you know?
And creates new possibilities.
Exactly. And it just blows me away how amazing it is.
Mhm. I think that that's one of the most powerful things that I've realized that through gratitude, it slows down the brain too when you're focused on whatever it is that you're grateful for. It's like it gives the mind this freedom. You're not so much in angst and up in arms about how do I fix a situation or come up with a solution. Those things are able to come to you because you're not overthinking it. You're giving your mind that space to be able to see other solutions that you might not have before.
100%. And I think that's the thing. It's in that space, in that,
Yes.
once again, that time that it's not that construct. So the brain, when you do those gratitude statements, it sends it not just to one spot, but it's not just the gratitude's not just about what I think, but it's about how I feel. It's
Yes.
about my behavior. It brings all that together in a very different way.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to do it linear. It's not linear
Right.
in the brain. It can swirl, it can move, it does all these things. And so I think when we're looking at those things, that's what we're talking about. And when we talk about slowing our thinking down, that's a conscious thing because if we do that, we experience, I feel, more of the brain and what really goes on in there.
Mhm.
For some, it could be scary. No, remembering that the power that we have within our thoughts and understanding that even within that, we're not limited because the brain doesn't know limits like that. We will put limits on the brain.
Yes.
We will put linear things. We will put time stamps on the brain,
Mhm.
but the brain still does not understand that. So when you're getting anxious because you have to be somewhere at 3 o'clock and it's 2:59 and you have an hour drive or whatever, you start to get anxious. The brains are like, we're going to get there. It finds
Y
a solution. And
yeah.
I think that's really the key thing that you said there is that when you trust the brain in that it's going to solve problems, it will solve problems because it has way more information than we do because it collects information. But oftentimes what we do is because of time and all that, we will try to force things in and make things happen. And it's like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna put that round peg in that square hole if it kills me. And we'll do whatever we're gonna instead of just simply taking a breath and realizing there's another hole.
Mhm.
But once again, it's because we get this time constraint thing going on and we panic and we do all of these things and not realizing if we just stop and we breathe and we realize that the brain and hopefully if you're listening to this and you do have some past stuff going on, understanding that when the more we think about it, the more we feed it, the more it gets solidified in us. And that is by no means saying that we're saying forget your past. That's not what that means.
No, but putting things into practice again and again and again, especially if it's something that is bringing you down and not, serving you.
Reminding your brain, no, this is not happening now. I'm just visiting.
Yeah.
In a way. The brain understands the messages that we give it. We just don't give our brain credit or the credit that we should give it.
Well, we spend so much time thinking about what we
Mhm.
don't want to happen rather than what we do want.
100%. And I think that's the thing. Having those conversations with your brain, visiting those past moments, and even sometimes, even if they're difficult ones, but reminding yourself, even, it's my past. I'm good in this moment. And then and you practice that and you practice that. And then pretty soon the brain understands that it's not happening now. And you, more importantly, you understand that it is your past and you have the ability to bring it up when you want and to put it away when you want.
And you also get to deem what that experience brought to you.
Mhm.
I just recently listened to a podcast with Yo Quiero Dinero, where that she was speaking with a gal that she gave her story about when she was younger that she had a lot of what they call financial trauma. Like it was a single parent home and they struggled. They moved a lot, weren't making ends meet. And she said in her now, she's like, I had to change my thought about that and realize that piece was the beginning of my education of how I didn't want it to be. So it became a part she goes, "Now I'm flipping the script." It taught me what I wanted my life to be like when I grew up, and she says, "So now I have educated myself about finances and things like that." And she said, "That was the beginning of my story." She goes, "If I had not known that, I wouldn't be where I am today."
And I think those are the things too that are really key is sometimes we take those things of our past and we think we're doing something positive. So when I have a person who has grown up in poverty and then they're so afraid of poverty, and so their thought stays on the poverty. So fast forward, they have now money in the bank, lots of money in the bank, but they're still living like they're in poverty because their fear. And then I'll ask them, why did you want money? Well, why? And they'll say, so that I could buy things because when I was a kid, I couldn't buy anything. I couldn't have anything. And they're like, you're still not buying or doing anything because you are so stuck in the past. That emotion is always present with you. And because it's always present with you, even though you have money in the bank, you're still not using it. So therefore you're still in poverty.
Mhm.
And it was like, hmm? I said, what poverty should have taught you was to go and buy the things that are really important to you. And so it took a minute. It's a process. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I said, but you allowed the memory and the fear of being in poverty stay so present with you. And but it happened in the past. I said, yes, but you're using the same things in the present moment. So therefore, I said the brain does not know time.
So now it's your reality at this moment.
So even though you did what you thought was you said, I'm gonna always have money, but you forgot the main reason was so that you could go out and buy and do the things that all the other kids got to do and you didn't, but you just wanted. And it was like this, oh crap
Mhm.
moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So always remembering that. Well, we think we have conquered something sometimes from our past, but then when we look at the behavior we're holding on to, it just looks different, but it is the exact same thing. We have brought our past into this present moment.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we are stuck. It is very hard to evolve from that. So we have to remember our brain does not know time. It doesn't do any of that. So you have to really think about what is it that I want? What is my goal? Then you can work on that. And even if you go down that memory lane of the past, you ask yourself, what is it I learned? What is that lesson that's going to help me be better in this moment and then the next moment? That's what our past should be about, which we call it past, but in our brain, there's no time. So the brain and time, it's such a fascinating thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that when we're looking at it, how do we make our brain develop that relationship with our brain and at the same time appreciate the past, look forward to the future, but really be present because all we have is this moment. This is our present moment only. It's not all the other stuff.
Be highly aware of your self-talk.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
We're so excited to be back. We talk about gratitude all the time. And once again, we put out the collection. We've got 5 out. We're getting ready to put our 6th one on, which is the Grateful for Our Homes
The Grateful Beginnings coloring book.
collection. And you can find it on Amazon under Sharon Abeta and Christy Banta, CHRISTY BANTA. And my last name is ABEYTA.
Mm-hmm.
So check them out. We appreciate all the support. And you can also find us on
Adventures of Two Girls on a Pod Life's Journey on YouTube. And you can also find
Two Girls in a
Two
Pod,
Girls on a Pod
Life's Journey.
on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you get your podcasts. Please like, share. If you hear something that resonates with you, please reach out, contact us. We love to have conversation.
We love interaction. We absolutely love it. And it's something that we do. And when we say it, we mean it. Reach out. If there's something that resonates with you or doesn't resonate with you, or you're there like, you know what, I'd rather talk about this, reach out, let us know.
A lot of times we'll pose a question on, so our website is twogirlsinapod.com. And if you go to that, I think it takes you to Spotify to listen, but you can listen on any platform. A lot of times we'll post questions on there and you're welcome to respond. We love to get feedback.
Yes. So just keep that in mind because we love this interaction and we really love what we do. And we're always grateful for our present moment and the ability to do this. So thank you so much. And we will be back next week. We hope that you guys all have a fantastic week and stay present and remember to have that relationship with your brain because it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye.